Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of NOS4A2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. That intro was so interesting. Obviously, it's Chris at his own father's funeral, and it's so interesting. I like that this especially this season continues to show you how much of a cycle kind of like this kind of like how the McQueen family, how it's sadly almost a cycle, because it turns out like the issues that Vic has with her dad, that maybe the argument could be she has that same, like Wayne has his issues with Vic, who has issues with Chris, who had issues with his dad Larry. That is this sad, like almost like traumatic cycle of like issues, because it's like for Chris, like the fact of the matter is he was up there talking, like the fact is he even talks about the fact is he didn't really know his dad. His dad is like, oh, my dad went to this cabin. It's like the same very cabin that Chris goes out to, because it's like, oh, he did that to just, it wasn't him, trying to be better. He's like, I knew it was a lie. It was him just hiding. And I'm like, that's so interesting, because now it puts that in perspective. Like Chris going off on his own, being away from other people, is him hiding because it's. I'm not trying to judge him or anything. I'm saying, like, in a sense that, like, for him, it's probably easier just to be on your own, because if you try to be around people, you're just going to fail over and over again, because he tried over and over again. And, because once again, we never got the full story of just everything he went through over that 8 years trying to be a better person and stuff like that. Maybe he tried and it failed over and over again, but it took a while for him to finally, because it makes you wonder at the end of the season when he said he stopped drinking, like, was that the last time he had a drink in these past 8 years, Back to that question. So, but it's just the fact of the matter is, he talks about the fact is that he had a good friend named Bridges, which not necessarily irony, but interesting enough. Like, oh, you'd have a friend named Bridges that there's also like you have a connection, special connection to that bridge, or at the very least, like I think Chris said, like, in season one, like he was aware of it. Like, obviously the bridge is significant just in general to that area, but it's interesting he would have a buddy named Bridge. But it's like when his buddy died, OD'd, he immediately signed up for, what was it, like the Marines, or whatever, because he's like, I don't know. He's like, I didn't have anything else to really, It's a thing because he signed up because he didn't have anything else. He felt like he didn't have anything else. And when he came back, he finally understood everything about his dad. Like, understood why his dad was the angry, miserable drunk that he was. It's like, cause when you're over, because his dad was in Vietnam, it's like when you're over there, just kind of through all that death and stuff, it makes you think like, oh, like almost a thing of like, it kind of, I think it puts your mind in this like very introspective sense of just kind of like, oh, like if I died, no one would, it's like, why was I even born? Because no one's going to even care that I died either. And it's just like, and even Chris saying that, like, oh, he was born for nothing, he died for nothing, he killed for nothing. So it's just kind of at the end of the day, it's like, well, that's Larry McQueen, and he walks away, and it's just like, that's rough. But once again, it's like you can see like all the issues he brought up out of his dad. You can see Vic's issues with him too, especially because like it wasn't just Linda out there in the crowd. It was a young Vic there too. And what did he do after the funeral? What did he do? He ran away. Like, so it's just once again the vicious cycle. That brokenness of that family just keeps repeating itself. It's a almost endless cycle. And then we cut to Vic, Lou, and Chris. The bike's not working at first. It's like, oh, crap. But then they get it started. It's like, yeah, okay. So we're good on that front. And then it's like, all right, getting locked and loaded and everything. And, obviously Linda's worried about this. It's like you're carrying explosive across a magic bridge. I'm glad Linda I was like, okay, please tell me the bridge shows up. Please don't tell me it's going to be a thing of it's not going to show up because it's just going to make Vic look even crazier. But I was thinking like maybe the bike wasn't in good enough condition to really summon the bridge, but it does. And Linda's like, holy hell. I'm like, yeah, your daughter has a magic bridge. And then even Chris is on the inside looking at it, which is even crazy because it's like when you break that down, it's like you're literally getting a look inside of your daughter's mind to a certain extent. It's a manifestation, but still, it's a manifestation of her mind. So they end up going to that junkyard. They find Bing, and obviously being, hurt and everything, Chris goes a little overboard, like, because to be fair, Chris has got that, that anger inside of him. I mean, it's something just like Vic's got that anger too, but it's like, Chris, like, his anger get the best of him, and it's just kind of like, oh, you want us to help you? You should die for what you've done. And it's like, where's my grandson? Where's my grandson? But because of that, Vic got pissed at Chris later on, because it's like, because of you being in that position, we lost time. And so she wasn't willing to really listen to her dad. Luckily, Tabitha was able to get people there ahead of time. And obviously they get him transferred. He's getting booked and everything. Tabitha signs up to be the person to talk to him. And I thought that was interesting. Because I was curious how that was going to go. Because I'm like, when he starts talking about Christmas land and stuff, like, you're going to have to, like, front around your bosses, like, oh yeah, he's crazy. Even though you're a part of this world now and it exists. But she plays it, like, very professional, like, in a sense of, like, hey, like, I get it. I know what it's like to have a boss that's pissed at you. And he's like, I wish I'd never met Charlie Manx, because for him, it's like, he realizes now he screwed everything up between him and Vic. It's like, Vic was my friend, and he's like, I messed that all up. He misses that, So he's hoping that, like, hey, I help you out and everything like that. You tell Vic that I helped her out, like, because he wants to redeem himself in Vic's eyes. So Tabitha is able to get him to confess to a lot of the crimes, including kidnapping Wayne. Luckily, because of this, Tabitha gets her badge back and everything, and they're like, yo, yeah, so where do you think, about Wayne, I said that weird, about Wayne. And Tabitha's like, yeah, it's probably in the junkyard somewhere. Yeah. And her boss is like, yeah, probably did kill. It's like, she knows the truth about the Wraith, about Manx, about Christmas Land. But she knows if she says anything, it's just going to make her look crazy, because she realizes how crazy it is. But she's in this world now, so she knows, like, it's not crazy. Vic ends up talking to him, and I think it's so interesting, like, because for him, it's like, it's in these slight moments there, you do kind of feel a little bad for him, because yes, he was manipulated by Charlie, but to be fair, Bing already had that darkness there to begin with, like, because even Tabitha had brought up again, like, the whole, like, oh yeah, like, your past, and why you went away, you were in jail for a while anyway, like it's, that was already there, but you could also make the argument that darkness was born in him because of his effed up family. Once again, it's like these family situations kind of create these monsters. It's like, but even then, it's like, once again, I brought this up last episode. Like, what about Charlie? Like, could everything have really been, like, could you really fault Charlie's mom for everything that happened? Like, he kind of blamed her, which, it's just, once again, it's all this kind of a bit of a vicious cycle in certain regards. And it's just, it's interesting the parallels they're creating amongst, like, Chris and his dad, like I said, Vic and hers, and Wayne and her, and, even looking at Charlie's situation. It's just, it's interesting how that ends up kind of flowing together like that. But regardless, the fact of the matter is, we have, Maggie using her tiles again, kind of burning herself with her cigarette and stuff. And just as Tabitha's leaving, she's like on top of the world, like, yeah, I got my job back. Yeah, I got my badge back. Oh, she's in the car burning herself, and it's like, shit. And obviously, it's like, and that's what ends up pushing Tabitha to go, like, I think we need to break up, because it's like, she wants a normal life. It's like the life to just be able to say, like, hey, like, just to be able to chill with the neighbors, even have children. It's like, that's not a life that you want. And she's like, Maggie, I want you to be happy. Because what did Maggie bring up before? It's like, she's never going to shut, like, her tiles are a part of her. It's like, I'm never going to shut that side of myself off for anyone ever again. And it's like, Tabitha wants her to be true to herself. If that's a part of you, I don't want you to deny any part of yourself. I want you to be you. I want you to be happy. But obviously for Tabitha, it's like, you're asking a lot of her to kind of be diving into this world to accept that. It's like, the fact is that you're going to be burning yourself just to kind of alleviate the effects of using your tiles, just plus also being a part of a world that no one else is a part of, because she wants to just basically live a normal life. And it's just like, but that's the thing, once you're a part of this world, I don't think you're going to be able to just quite leave it. I think it's always going to stay and be a part of you. Who knows? We'll see kind of how things kind of play out for Tabitha. So, but obviously Vic is reluctant to bring her dad with her. He's like, I'm sorry, I really messed up this time. It's like, I let my anger get the best of me. But even her mom, it's like, don't let your anger get the best of you. This is about saving Wayne, because Chris is like, some of those things are timers. Some of the bomb, explosives have timers. So it's like, do you know how to really set that up? So it's like, don't let your issues with me right now kind of get the best of you. So she brings Chris along. And I think it's interesting the conversations between them, because for her, like, because he's trying to tell her, it's like, like, Manx, nothing happening with Wayne is your fault, that it's all on Manx. Manx isn't your fault. The fact is that, but for her, it's like she wants to forgive her dad, but she's like, if I forgive you if I forgive you, that would mean forgiving myself, because it's like, it's kind of a catch-22, because it's like, because if I don't forgive you, what hope is there for Wayne ever forgiving me? And the fact of the matter is, it's also at the same time of like, but if I do forgive you, that means I'm letting myself off easy for just all the pain I've caused Wayne, all the drinking, burning the house down while he was there. It's like, because for her, it's like, when she showed up, she was like, I was wondering why my bridge took me back to you out of anybody. Why you? Because she's like, nothing was left for me in New England, so why did it take me back here? And maybe there's some grand design to it. Maybe it's just because it's like, you were in a situation where you feel like you weren't the best parent, and obviously your dad's kind of been through that. So I think her bridge, I mean, I'm sure subconsciously it's like, she's always like loved her dad and had a very complicated relationship with her dad. She has with her mom, but like her and her dad have this complicated relationship all in her own right, because it's like he kind of abandoned her. She just felt like she was always kind of left behind by him. It's just like, because she even talked about it. She's like, I wanted to have like, a normal family. I was going to go, be an artist and stuff like that, but nothing turned out that way. My life didn't turn out that way. And, now my son's in this situation, and obviously you kind of feel bad too, because Chris, it's kind of the sting of her words, and it's like they sting so much because they reign so true to him, so it's kind of like, what can I really say to you? Because it's just kind of like, I haven't been father of the year. I haven't been the best parent. So who am I to really tell you, should you forgive yourself? Because I don't think he's really forgiven himself for everything. Because I'm sure for him, it's like when he's hearing these conversations, it probably takes him back to that funeral. All the shit he said about his dad is just kind of like, once again, everything just being reciprocal, in that regard. But I skipped over a little bit, but I thought it was kind of interesting that basically Bing ended up telling Vic, like, the way you end up getting to Wayne is like, he'll have to get out the car to put his ornament on the tree. That's the final stop before they get to Christmas Land. So it's like, you have to do that. Has to be your moment to strike, because if you don't, that might be that's your last chance. After that, he'll end up being taken to Christmas Land. There will be no way to get inside, because the wraith is the only way inside of Christmas Land. And even though that was interesting too, the line where he was like, can you find it in yourself to forgive? And I don't think Vic can, because even Vic was like, yeah, I missed the person I thought you were. So for her, it's like, this is the man that he killed Sharon. He did what he did and took away someone that was a friend of hers. It's like, you've hurt so many people. You're the reason my son got taken away too. It's like, you've played a role in causing so much pain in my life, and like, no matter how sorry you are, it doesn't take away all the mess that you've done, which you could also apply that to her dad too. So it's an interesting thing how they really broke, when you really look at everything kind of broken down in this episode like that. They go to the trees and everything. And I thought I'm wondering why is that, but like, cause Millie was able to get to Vic. She was able to, like, Vic could hear her, but Lou nor, Maggie could. To be fair, let's not forget, Maggie's not a strong creative. She's a medium. She's close to it, but she's kind of a different category all on her own. So part of me wonder, is it just because Millie's specifically talking to Vic because they've been in communication, and obviously she has her ties, like, because remember she's dreamed of, because it's a thing where like strong creatives can end up dreaming of each other, and she's dreamed of him, so maybe that kind of puts her in proximity of everything related to Charlie, including his Inscape, Christmas Land. So, or is it just because, she's actually interacted with Millie? I'm curious, like, what kind of let that happen? Is it just being a strong creative? Is it being the specific strong creative she is, in the sense that, like I said, she interacted with Millie in the past? Regardless, Millie is telling her, like, if you kill my father, Christmas Land would disappear. And I thought that was so interesting, because it's just kind of like, are you going to kill my dad? And just kind of like, it's not like how dare you? It's like, just know that if you kill my dad, you're killing every kid here. So it's not like a thing of like, oh, I want you to not kill my dad. It's like, I want you to not kill him because it's the only way to make sure no one else in here dies. But for her, it's like she, listen to what, her mom said last episode. She wants to just get out. She wants to be free. She wants to be able to grow up and kind of see every aspect of life. So she's asking Vic to promise, like, oh, you'll find a way out of here for me. Because, I mean, if she leaves, she will die, because she even throws a snowball out and it doesn't just like melt. It turns to static and disappears. As we saw, anything that leaves, I guess it has to be a thing of like, if you leave without Charlie's permission, you die. Or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's a situation of if you don't, maybe, I don't know. Maybe now that Millie wants to leave, maybe she could, but I think it is probably more so like, because unless Charlie lets you leave, you can't leave, because I guess like leaving would be almost breaking his rule, and it's like, oh, you break the rule, you're out forever, like, because the kid that left didn't just like pop back. It's like, oh no, he disappeared, he's dead, like erased from existence type of situation. So there's a complicated, rub to this whole situation. Notice, though, that Vic didn't bring that up to Lou nor Maggie, so that's why I'm like, I guess she's so focused on saving Wayne, like saving anyone else is kind of, who cares? Like, she's focused on saving her own kid right now. But I'm curious to see, like, cause what was the plan? Was it just going to be to knock the Wraith out of, off guard real quickly, and then, like, we'll end up, we'll, kind of figure out the rest later. Whatever the case may be, Wayne does show up, and Lou and Maggie try to get to him, but he ends up getting away from both of them. And because this is both of their first time seeing what the kids who get turned, by him will look like. Because she never saw Daniel, his teeth and everything, like, she never, like, and even, like, Vic and Lou saw what happened to the kids, but they probably didn't realize, like, oh, it had already happened to, Wayne. And, as they're readying for everything, like, as Charlie's rushing towards Vic, like, Chris is setting off the explosives, but they're not working. Well, they are, but it's not doing damage to the car like they want it to, because he's kind of narrowly escaping. Like, I guess Chris isn't getting the timing right, or just the explosions aren't powerful enough. Whatever the case may be. And then Vic's bike's messing up. I'm like, this is literally, I was like, the moment her bike would stop working, I was like, oh God, it's going to go here. It's going to go here, isn't it? He's going to get in the way and he's going to get hit. What took me by surprise is he just got his legs run over. I mean, I don't mean to say he just got his legs run over. That sucked major ass, but I thought he was going to straight up get hit by the car and die. Because he had said that line to Vic earlier, like, you need to take yourself off the hook. Because if you don't, you'll literally spend the rest of your, like, you're going to be wallowing in your own self-hatred if you can't move forward if you won't take the time to at least try and forgive yourself. Because not forgiving yourself isn't going to do you any good. You're just going to be staying there, like I said, wallowing in your own self-pity, and that creates issues all on its own. You need to kind of find a way to forgive yourself so you can move forward. And in that moment, it's like Vic's stuck underneath the bike, and Chris is there, and it's just like, oh, dude. And I was like, oh God. I was like, please don't. And he snaps Chris's neck. I was like, that sucks. Because Vic never really had an opportunity to really, like, make things good with her dad, And it's sad because to see things kind of, once again, come full circle like that. Like, as we got closer to it, it did think, because I had a feeling, I was like, because literally this episode's called Chris McQueen, and the fact is that whole thing at the beginning, I'm like, that was foreshadowing what was going to happen. It was just like, ugh. And now the argument could be like, Chris's shoes at the beginning of the episode, that's going to be Vic having to tell stuff like that about her dad, like the whole complicated thing. But, because despite his faults and everything, because that was a whole conversation between her and Maggie too, where it's just kind of like, parents, they screw up sometimes. It's basically saying that nothing's set in stone, that you can, you will get Wayne back, essentially. I did like what she was also saying too, that basically she went toe to toe with like a killer without a plan, and she was basically like, oh, I'd stab 1,000 like killers for your mopey ass. And I thought that was, really sweet, Maggie always having her back like that. But damn, dude, that sucks. Like I said, it's just like, once again, that conversation of like, if I forgive you, how can I, if I don't forgive you, how can I expect Wayne to do it? But also, if I let you off the hook, that means letting myself off the hook. So it's like, the complicated emotions you're going to feel right then. And it's like, I don't think we're going to see a situation of, oh, Chris is going to pop up in the car, in the Wraith like Craig did. I don't think so. Because once again, it's just because Craig died inside of the Wraith. So I think his emotions plus having died in there allows him to kind of manifest himself. I don't see that happening with Chris, but it's just like, that sucks. He was trying to make things right, and maybe the argument, because it could be that this was how it was supposed to be. I mean, hell, for all we know, she might blame herself for this too, being like, because I didn't make up with my dad, I dragged my dad along, I should have just left him at home and he wouldn't be dead right now. It's like the argument, she might even take it back to be like, I'm the one that brought this into his life because because instead of staying with Wayne and Lou, I ran away to my dad's, and that kind of created the situation. So she might kind of take it out on herself, sadly, because, I mean, obviously Vic's not in the best position. Like I said, she's in a very, like, self-hatred mode right now, and I'm sure this is just sadly going to add more fuel to the fire. It's just like, that's just a literal gut punch to end the episode like that. It's like, oh, just having your dad killed in front of you like that, it's just like, it's, like I said, it's just like, there's just so much said, yes, but at the same time, so much left unsaid, so it's like, plus the bike been acting up, so now he's going to get away with Wayne and take him to Christmas Land. Granted, she knows of a secret passage into Christmas Land, but it's like, if she gets in, there might not be any guarantee that she'll be able to get out. So there's just a lot to this, so I am very, very interested to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good